Good morning. I'm Karen Nelson, Church Council President right now, and I'm here to facilitate the congregational meeting. A quorum being present, we will have the congregational meeting come to order. And I will turn it over to Pastor Paul.
Well, you may be wondering exactly why we're doing this right now, right here. And this is because when the church is at work, everything is sacred. We draw together in the power of the Holy Spirit to take care of the business life of our community of faith. So your presence as worshiping people translates into our gathering together for these purposes today. The truth of the matter is, all of life is sacred as we bear the Spirit of God into the world. So thank you for your participation in this meeting time today.
Good morning, everyone. Don't want to make it hard on everyone. Well, good morning, everyone. If you could please advance the slide, I'll just explain briefly what, as a congregation, we'll be voting on today. You'll find in your bulletins the actual resolutions that are on one page and also the ballot, which you can complete and will return at the conclusion or during offering today. There are actually two matters of business for the congregation. One relates to the imminent construction of our columbarium, and the second relates to the sale of a parcel of land on the very southern tip of our property. So I'll explain each of those just briefly. Each require a congregational vote because of their nature. These are not things that council is authorized to do without a congregational vote. So that's what we'll do today. If you could advance the slide, please. First, regarding the columbarium, context probably for everyone to understand, and it mirrors what Paul just commented on regarding the columbarium. The columbarium is truly going to become an integral part of the church itself. The church's property, the church's ministries, and the church's finances. It is not separate in any manner. It's a part of the church. Therefore, it should be addressed in the Constitution. Our current Constitution actually already covers most of what would be involved in instituting something new like that on our property, something as significant as a columbarium. However, one piece that is advisable and is recommended by your church council is that we set forth, the way constitutions do, future expectations regarding how the church will oversee, manage, and meet all of our expectations for what a columbarium is. And so what's recommended is that we form a columbarium committee to provide ongoing management oversight, if you will, of the columbarium. The duties of the committee to be named really kind of fit. The first three matters really kind of get to the heart of meeting all of our expectations and creating a degree of consistency for the benefit of the congregation, for the benefit of families that are using the columbarium that might have remains located there. So setting consistent expectations over time and always bringing focus to this, the beauty, serenity, the sacredness of the space. The fourth item there is really to communicate so that the columbarium is never out of sight, out of mind for the congregation, but to share the status, share the needs, any challenges of the columbarium, and to periodically shine a spotlight, if you will, on that ministry and that aspect of our property, and that would be a job of the committee. And then the last piece is really a financial stewardship matter with the funds raised by the columbarium, the appropriate reserving of funds for future costs and needs related to the columbarium, and the grounds overall, again, so they meet all of our expectations. So there is a financial oversight aspect as well that we think warrants a committee's focus. So the first is an amendment to the Constitution to establish a columbarium committee, given the newness of that for our congregation. The second vote to explain that as well, which relates to real estate. Again, Purchasing or selling real estate is not an authority that our council has. It requires a congregational vote, no matter how minor or major it is. We were approached by our neighbor to the immediate south, what's known, some of you would know as the Carterell House, and the family that bought that a couple years ago, inquiring whether we'd be willing to sell a small parcel of land so they could have a yard for their home. The home and the lot, the way it's built, literally doesn't have a yard for a young family. And this is a parcel of land that's quite small by standards of a lot, if you will. It's only about a quarter to a third of the size when lots are sold for things in Edina like tear downs and building homes. This is smaller than that. The church has very minor, if perhaps no use for that land truly. And so they were approached inquiring whether we'd be willing to sell that parcel of land. And you can see this is an overhead view of the church, so the entire church property, and highlighted in red in the bottom right, which is the most southern part of our lot, is the parcel of land that we're talking about. The next image shows it a little bit more clearly. Those of you that have journeyed to the very southern end of our lot, it would represent about 40 feet of asphalt and 5 parking spaces. The parking lot gets narrow there, so it's only parking on one side. There's a fence, and then there is land beyond the fence that's really adjacent to the home and the driveway that the church owns but doesn't have access to because of the fence. Again, there's no real use for it. Considerations for the congregation and for you as you vote on this. There would be a loss of these 5 parking spots. That's really the only practical loss to the church. It runs adjacent to this is really not a piece of land that's marketable or saleable or dividable into a parcel to sell to anyone else. You can't access it except through the church's land or the neighbor's land. So there is no street access to it. And over recent years, we have not been able to derive an alternate use for the land or any kind of master plan that would put it to use for the church. So this is really a financial stewardship matter. We think it's more valuable to the neighbor. Highest and best use is as a yard for them versus the church. And then the funds raised would allow us to redeploy for other ministry purposes of the church that would be set by council in the ordinary course going forward. And the gross sale price is contemplated to be $50,000 for that parcel of land.
Thanks, Brent, for all the explanation. So the 2 items on the agenda are the vote on these 2 resolutions. So the first one is a vote to adopt the constitutional amendment to address columbarium. May I have a motion for this? Okay, and a second? Thanks, I see a second. Okay. So the motion has been moved and seconded. Now, are there any questions related to this specific motion?
Are there any questions about the sermon?
Okay. No questions? Okay, so you will vote on your ballot for that first resolution. So then the second order of business is the second resolution, and that is a vote to support the sale of a real estate parcel to neighbor at 6125 Will Ryan. Could I have a motion for this? Thank you. Thank you. And a second?
Mark in the back.
Great, thank you. So the motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions related to this specific motion? Or Paul's sermon? Yeah? No questions? Okay, so again, vote on your ballot, and then you will put that in the offering plate as they are passed or when they leave. So that is it for the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn this special congregational meeting? Okay, second? Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn the meeting is moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We will now receive the offering.